Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we got a pretty interesting mecha-musume model kit we're going to be taking a look at here. This is the Kelly Janet kit, which doesn't really look like too much on the front side of the box, but on the sides here you can maybe see a little bit more about what this is going to look like. Basically, it's a really cool mecha-musume model kit from a company which I've never built anything from this company before. I've never even heard of anything from this company before, I don't think, but it's a BigFireBird toy, I guess is the name of the company, and Full-Time Gigia is the name of this line, I guess, is how I understand it. But this is basically a sort of Megami Device style kind of model kit, very similar to that, where we have our girl character and then like a kind of mecha unit that kind of goes all like around on her or separately from her. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. So it's always fun to take a look at something new and different, and this is a pretty big box, although I feel like the kit is probably going to be about the same size as maybe like what we typically expect for like 30-Minute Sisters or like different Kotobukiya Megami Device type of kits. So let's go ahead and find out here for today's video. And so yeah, there's not much to see here on the outside of the box. You have this kind of like mirror foil finish there right in the center of this kind of design. It looks pretty cool, but we can't really see too much other than just a whole bunch of text and labeling and everything. So if we go here onto the sides, you can actually see a bit more of what the kit is going to actually look like there. And again, you can see it's a pretty thick box. Around on the other side, the same thing, just in like a different pose. But on this side of the box, we can actually see it in a bit more detail. So the transformation or deformation, as it says here, basically between like the kind of unarmored version and the fully armored version. Pretty typical, again, like I said, for any kind of like Megami Device style model kit. And even on here on the side of the box, it's kind of interesting how you have like most of the background is in like a matte finish, but then some of the images have this like glossy finish to it. You can maybe see here in the reflection. So that's kind of cool. But it looks like the armor can be attached in like some different ways, and the weapons and everything there as well. And then it looks like the armor can be made as like a separate unit here also. So that's kind of cool. Going around to the other side of the box, then another image of the set kind of separated the girl and the armor and the weapon there. And then you can see what the different face option parts are going to look like. And then a kind of like short little character bio here. You do have that in Chinese and in English there if you want to check that out. So most of the text on this, like you can see here, is most everything's going to be in Chinese. You do have a little bit of English on here as well. Looks like we have 2 of the electromagnetic rifle, 1 of the pulse sniper rifle, 1 of the pulse lightsaber, and then 1 of the exclusive maneuverable platform. Kind of cool setup for this. Seems like it's basically kind of maybe meant to be sort of like a model kit of like a game character sort of thing, but I don't think that there's actually like a source game that this is based off of or anything. So it looks like we got a little amendment page maybe here to the instructions, and maybe like there was a misprint on the instructions, so just make sure you pay attention to that. And then all of our runners, we'll go over those in just a minute. I can see a lot of like little pre-printed details on some of those runners there, so that looks pretty nice. And then, as is often the case in some of these releases, we have some pretty interesting kind of extra stuff in here. First of all, a nice set of water slide decals here. Looks like we got some really cool logos on there, and then a bunch of different caution markings in red, black, and a little bit in white. A couple ones here in pink for like some like blushing cheeks and stuff for the face. Eye decals, so some really nice decals there included. And there we do also have some foil stickers as well. So a lot of little foil stickers like for the green like camera lenses and stuff. Looks like mostly a couple yellow ones and mostly some black ones there as well. In here, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. This fly in the sky kind of secret pack. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a trading card or anything. Okay. So it's got our Fly in the Sky logo printed on this like semi-translucent kind of thin plastic, soft plastic, and then it's got a wire sewn through the edge of that so that you can manipulate this. Seems like it's supposed to be like a kind of cape or something maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. Let's check out our instruction manual and see if we can find the answer. So the front and back of the instruction manual, again, just some titling on there. That's about it. But on the inside here, we got a bunch more really cool like character illustration there with some more information, kind of bio. It's going to be a lot of the same stuff that we saw on the outside of the box, but you can see some different, okay, so there it is, yeah. So this is the violet light effect. It's just meant to be like this kind of cape part, and I guess it's like a secret thing, the color, as ours kind of is like blue tinted, but I guess that's why it's in like that secret bag, because you don't know what color it's going to be. I guess there's other color versions of blue, green, pink, and then I guess that's maybe supposed to be yellow. It's kind of hard to tell, but so we got the blue version, interestingly, and definitely the color is not as noticeable as it looks there in the photo. It's kind of very faint, but so it's just supposed to be this sort of like a little poncho thing that you can kind of wrap around the character That's interesting. It's the exclusive professional cloak. Okay, kind of cool, for sure. We'll see how that looks on the kit in just a bit. They're also pointing out here that this uses a system of 3mm hardpoints, which is great because that means it's going to be compatible with like your Kotobukiya stuff, your Bandai stuff, 30 Minutes Sisters, 30 Minutes Missions. All that stuff is going to be available as option parts that will fit with your 3mm hardpoint system. So that's really cool. And the exclusive maneuverable platform, I guess I was thinking was like an actual jetpack, but it's actually just like the display stand for the kit. So all right, very interesting. After that, we've just got our parts list, and it looks like we don't have any more color. It's all in black and white from here on out, at least until we get to like the back pages probably. But we just got our assembly guide there, all in black and white. And then once we get to the end, here's the decal guide, where all the decals are going to be placed around on that. And then the last couple pages here, just some more, another photo kind of there, and that's about it. So very interesting stuff. In these little bags here, we've got like our hand parts there separated, those in black. We've got a little tiny screwdriver and some little screws. Hopefully that's just for the display stand and not actually needed for the actual kit. We'll find out here in just a minute. And then we've got our face option parts, which we'll take a closer look at in the review portion of the video, but there's our 4 pre-printed faces. They actually look really quite nice, so that's cool. And so in here we do also have some separated pre-printed parts here, white pieces with little red lines printed on there, and it does tell you which parts these are, so that is nice. But then let's get into the runners proper here, with runners A1 and A2 being our hair parts in a nice kind of orangish yellow color. Runner B here is all of our skin tone color parts for the kit, including some unprinted faces. So if you did want to use those eye decals on these faces and make your own, you can do that, so that's nice. Runner C, a nice big runner here of a lot of little parts there in black, mostly for the body, it looks like, of the character. Runners D1 and D2, here we have 2 of runner D1. This is in a kind of light bluish gray color, runner D2 here, and then we do also have a copy of this section of D2 up there as well. Runner E is going to be some parts here in white, mostly for like the equipment and all that. And the same thing here on runner F as well. We've got 2 of the F runner. Our G runners are going to be all in red. Here we have 2 of runner G1, and we've also got runner G2, G3, and a G4 here for the rest of our red parts. Here in a kind of medium gray color, we've got runner H1 and then runner H2 here as well. Then runner I1 and I2, I1 being our parts here in clear green, I2 being some more white parts there for the weapons, looks like mostly. Lastly is going to be our parts for the display base, with runner J1 being the parts for the clear arm of the display base, and runner J2 being these large white parts for the main part of the display base there, which seems like really larger than it kind of needs to be maybe, but we'll see what it looks like when it's all built up. That's it for the runners, so let's go ahead and check it out. All right, and here is the base kit all built up, the base body without any of the armor and everything added onto it. As you can see, pretty small little kit here, but then the armor is a much more substantial portion of the kit, but still not all that big. So not gonna be a very large kit. As we saw with the box, it's kind of like a large-ish box, but the kit actually comes together to be a pretty small size, but it is rather interesting. I do like the very unique size for this. A lot of this mecha-musume style model kit stuff usually tends to all be kind of right around the same size and scale to it, so it's nice to have something that's a little bit different, a little bit unique. We've got a ton of accessories included here with this, so let's go ahead and check those out here to start us off. For our face option parts, here is the first 2. The printing quality on these does look really quite nice. You can see the nice colors and crisp details and stuff on there. And then our second 2 face option parts here. So you have some really nice expressive face options, which is good, and 4 of those that are pre-printed for you. This is also going to be your alternative head option that has the addition of these parts there at the top. So you're going to swap this for when it's in its sort of mecha form there. It loses the bit of hair on the top and instead gets these horns and this little camera thing there with a little sticker for the green foil camera there on the top of the head. Otherwise, not too much that we're going to change here on the body when changing into the integrated form, except that you're going to swap the hip joints. I guess you don't actually really need to, but it's shown in the manual here. That's what these parts are. The part for like the ball at the top of the thigh, basically the hip section, we're gonna swap for this mechanical version of that. And then of course we've got some hand options like the closed fists we have on there at the moment. You also have a set of open hands here like so. And And then a little bit different type of open hand. Actually, you can see between the two, they're slightly different just kind of in the shape, as this one's meant to look a bit more like a rifle support hand, I think, or something like that. Where we also just have a set of weapon holding hands here like so. And that's going to be it for our hand options. To hold in the hand, we have these two rifles that also have stickers for the cameras, one at the bottom of the front and then one right there on the top. So these are going to be identical, and we do have these mechanical arms that we can use to attach these onto the bird unit. So a nice design and color separation on there. You will have a seam line on the gray part there, but otherwise those are pretty cool. Then we've also got her long rifle. Now this one's pretty cool. Once again, you have a sticker for the camera there on the top, and this one does have a gimmick in that you can separate this part here like this. Pulling that apart will separate it into, again, a sort of just a smaller gun here like so, and then this part we can use our beam effect to plug into there, and it acts as a sort of beam saber sword or kind of spear sort of weapon there like that. Also very cool. Other than that, one other adapter piece that we're going to use to plug everything together, our included display stand, which is kind of cool in its shape. It's rather large and very white, so definitely painting this would make it look even more cool. I'm not really sure what it's really supposed to even necessarily look like. If you're just using this for the kit itself, it's going to look like kind of overkill, but you can by just plugging this into the hard point here at the lower back and just having the kit on there like that. But like I said, it's a little bit kind of overkill for something like that. Lastly then, aside from this cape, which we saw already, and we'll see how that actually works on the kit, considering that it doesn't really have any way to actually attach on. It's just, you're just supposed to like use the wire to kind of wrap it around the shoulders basically to stay on. We'll try that out here in just a minute, but our mecha-bird is going to be kind of like the main unit here, aside from the body, where she can sit on here and hang on to these handlebar parts to ride on it. And we've got a number of different points of articulation here with this. Also the feet pop out. He's got these cute little bird feet on the legs. These are going to come off and form the legs when it's in its integrated form, and the wings here on the back can also move around in every which way there like so as well. And the color separation here on the bird looks really nice. You have some clear green parts for around on these bits that all look pretty good there, with a couple more stickers here for like the black bits there on the front, here on the side, and then up here on the wings. Those are just black stickers there for those, but otherwise some nice color separation between the red parts, white parts, and then some pre-printed red parts. You will have some seam lines here on a couple parts, like here on this part on the back. Otherwise, the construction of it is pretty nice, and it makes for a pretty nice like separate unit kind of on its own that you can pose with the kit, or you can pose them separately or together, or you can combine them together, of course, and that's what we want to take a look at here. But real quick, back to just the main body here for a moment, just to talk about some of the articulation here. It's going to be pretty standard for any kind of other frame arms girl or Megami device type of kit like this. The range of articulation, it's just in a smaller scale here, having a rotation point in the thigh to be able to rotate that, a double joint in the knee, a nice joint here at the ankle to be able to adjust the stance there. Up underneath the feet, you do have a little hard point there, so it would have been nice to include like a small like circle little display stand with just that you can plug up underneath the feet or something, just to be able to display the kit if you didn't want to use like this massive base here. But a single joint in the elbow that gives you about 90 degrees there. Obviously a articulation point here between the top and bottom half of the body, and the neck is on a double joint there, so you can get a pretty good range of movement here for this as well. It can look up about that far, which is pretty good. And ultimately, I think the articulation is pretty nice. And again, it's a pretty unique build compared to most other mecha-musume model kits are all kind of pretty standard just in the way they go together. And this is as well, I guess. It's just the smaller scale is, like I said, it's kind of different, it's unique, it's nice. And so taking a look at the kit here now in a few different poses, like I said, it's great that you can pose these separately or together or combined, that you have some great options here that you can do with this one. I think ultimately you're probably going to want to have them combined, as that's kind of the main way that the kit is advertised and probably what most people are going to opt for in terms of how you're ultimately going to display the kit. But you do have some nice options there, especially if you kind of like to play around with like toy photography or something like that. As you saw in the manual and as we're seeing here, there's a lot of different poses that you can do with these, so it's great to have those options, and some really cool weapon options there as well, between the like beam saber and the rifles and the long rifle and everything else. You got some great options with this one, and the build quality overall is pretty good. I would say that I wish that some of the parts, especially on the mecha unit, maybe like fit a little bit tighter. I think like the fit on some of these parts is not perfect, where especially like where there's seam lines, the gap is noticeable, where on like Kotobukiya's model kits, for example, the seam lines are pretty well hidden just because the fit is so tight on them, and this is just like slightly imperfect in some spots, and so you can like kind of see the separation where there's seam lines where you would hope that it's not very noticeable at least. But otherwise, I'm not noticing any like loose parts or parts falling off, or I didn't have any parts that were like too tight to fit together that I had to sand any of the pegs or anything like that. So no major fitting issues. I just wish that some of the bits fit a little bit more closely. Other than that, no issues with this really at all. So it's a nice one, and I would hope to see more, although I don't believe at the moment of recording this that they have anything else quite like this announced. So it's sort of like a one-off, it seems, at the moment. But hopefully in the future they'll make some more, because like I've been saying, it's just kind of nice to have something in this genre but a little bit different, and so I can definitely appreciate that. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below for this kit. Are you a fan of how it looks or not that much? I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys, and if you want to check out some more kits for yourself similar to this, you can check out the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got lots of 30 Minutes Sisters, got lots of kits from Bandai, Kotobukiya, and more, so check them out there on the website. And as always, guys, thanks so much for all of your support, leaving a like, making sure that you're subscribed. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So until next time, hope y'all are having a great day, and I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.